Hello, and welcome to Courage to Overcome podcast. Today, I want to talk about 4 ways to recognize and avoid being manipulated by a narcissist or toxic person or just people in general. So, I'll start off with a definition of manipulation. So, according to the dictionary, manipulation is to negotiate, control, or influence something or someone cleverly, skillfully, or deviously. That's the dictionary definition. So manipulation is often based in lies or deception, and it's often used to get the desired outcome no matter the price or cost. With manipulation, there is only one person that wins, and that is the manipulator. And one person that loses, and that is you. Hopefully, that will not be you again when you finish listening to this episode. So manipulation can happen in your relationship, your workplace, in your family, social situations, social situations, etc. No one likes to be manipulated, but the thing is, a lot of the times people don't know that they're being manipulated, especially if you are in a narcissistic relationship, because the manipulation is so smooth, so persuasive, and so convincing. Manipulation is wrong and is intended to make the target feel bad about themselves a lot of the times, and the perpetrator to feel good. I personally know how it feels to be manipulated, and it's not a good experience at all. And I try to avoid it at all costs. So, what if you could learn ways to avoid being manipulated? Wouldn't that be great? You would be in control and not the other person. You would not feel guilty or horrible for no reason. So here are 4 ways to recognize and avoid manipulation. Okay, number 1, manipulators are extremely target orientated. They're kind of goal focused. They focus on a specific end result, no matter the means on how they get there, as long as they get their result. For example, like a salesperson in particular, who is focused on selling you a particular item, they do everything they can to manipulating you into making a decision now, because obviously they want their commission or whatever it is that they get after a sale, and they want to be sure that, because there's no they don't know whether you're going to come back or not. If you say you don't want to make a decision now, they don't know whether you're going to come back or not. So they want you to make a decision now. So they will try to manipulate you into making, for them to make a sale at that point in time. For example, I had an experience of this a few weeks ago. I went to this furniture shop with my daughter and hoping to look around and check some of the sofas there, see whether I liked anything there, and this particular salesperson, there was one particular sofa that I actually liked, but the sofa seemed a bit too big because I had already, you have to take measurements and stuff. I had measured the living room and everywhere, and the door, the door length, or the width actually, of the door where the chairs would have to come through. And when I looked at the dimensions of the sofa that I really liked, it seemed to be too big, and it probably would not enter the doorway of the living room. So the salesperson said that it would not be a problem, as they have a service where they could have the sofa delivered in like 2 parts or something like that, and they would have somebody who could, it would be broken up in 2 parts, and then they would bring it into the living room and then put it together again. But that the service would cost about over £200. And he said that, that his manager would give me a discount. He was just saying all this stuff. So it was a big decision to make. I wasn't sure whether I wanted to actually commit to that at the moment. I just wanted to go back home and maybe remeasure everything and get some opinion from some other my family as well. So So I told him I would think about it and that I would come back. So actually, the sofas they had they were there was a discount on there was a sales available for that particular sofa. So the salesperson said, "Oh, that's they're not sure whether the sales is going to be available by the time I come back. The sale might be, it might return to full price." So he really wanted me to make a decision there and then, which is kind of like this manipulation actually, you know. And then I said maybe I would order online. He said, "Oh, finance would not be available online, as I needed to physically present my ID if I wanted, or if I wanted to opt for the finance option." So he said all this, and I still, was quite persuasive and everything, but I still felt like I needed to go back and come back to, I'm not going to make a final decision. So I came back on the following week to the same shop. The offer was still available, as he knew. The offer was still available, and I had checked that the finance was available online as well. I didn't need to present my ID physically there at the shop to get finance. The finance was available online as well. And then other salesperson it was another salesperson that attended to me at that time. And when I went back to the sofas that I particularly liked, and I was about to say, I told him that the other salesperson had said that these chairs would not fit. So because I had my measurement thing with me and the tape. And so he measured the whole thing. He said, no, it's going to fit. There's a way that they normally do it. It will fit. Don't worry about it. He was a more experienced person. The other person that I had dealt with previously was much younger. So he said, yeah, you don't need to do any of that. It's going to fit. I can assure you that it will fit. So I actually placed the order based on that salesperson's information. I did, I placed the order. So it was a good thing that I actually came back later, because it saved me quite a bit of money, because if I had made a decision previously when I went there for the first time, I would have had to pay an extra 200 and something pounds for them to break it up and whatever, and I had saved myself quite a bit of money. So the salesperson, the first salesperson, was very manipulative, giving me misleading and very inaccurate information. In fact, I should have probably made a complaint or something, because it was very misleading, the information that he gave me. But yeah, so that's it, It was a very manipulative situation. He obviously wanted to make a sales. He was very end focused. Look, I need to make this sale, so I'm going to say or do whatever I can to make this sale. So how would one deal with situations like this, other situations like that, and, probably other scenarios and stuff like that, So it would be to ask the question, what other options do we have? Asking questions is a very good counter to manipulation. Manipulators are trying to dominate the conversation and trying to lead it and trying to give you just one option, their own option. And often, whoever is asking the questions is leading that portion of the conversation. Typically, we ask questions as the offense and answers as the defense. So the moment you ask a question, any question, they're immediately on the defense, and then you kind of flip the script. So they're no longer in charge. You are kind of in charge. So they're not going to say there's no other options. We're going to do it this way or the highway, because then they'll be admitting they're manipulating you. Instead, they're going to think of other options, and so that weakens the stubborn end goal. This way of dealing with such manipulation is also a really good test to know if they're manipulating you, because if you say, what other options do we have? If they get offended or seem angry by you wanting different options, you can determine that they were trying to manipulate you. You know, I mean, I'm not talking about. I gave you a particular instance about a salesperson. I'm talking about other situations generally where this happens as well. So number 2, they make unsubstantiated claims regarding your mental state. So they will practically dictate your own mental state. I remember a conversation I had with my ex-husband. We were separated at the time, and I had gotten a job and been working for some time. So during the conversation, he was saying things like, oh, I know that you are happy since we've separated, and I know that you're happy since you started work, and that you're really happy at work. It wasn't even a question. It wasn't like, oh, are you happy? How are you feeling? It wasn't a question. It was a statement. Like, he really knew what was happening in my head. And he wanted me to agree with his assertion of my mental health. Like, he knew what I was thinking, or that he had personal knowledge about my mental state, about how I was feeling generally. A manipulator will say things like, oh, you're clearly confused, you can't remember, your head's not in the right place, you're so angry all the time. They will tell you how you are feeling, and often enough, they are not good feelings. There are always bad feelings. So here are 2 ways to deal with it. So anytime someone's trying to tell you what state you're in, you just ask another question. You will say, why do you say that? So if someone says you're confused or you can't remember, when you ask that question, you put them in the position where they have to defend or explain that position, and they will quickly realize they can't tell you anything about your own mental state. Or you could say, I disagree. I don't agree with you, which I think is the better question. So what are they going to do now? They're going to argue with you about what's happening in your head or what's happening in your mind. I mean, that's ridiculous. Anytime someone is trying to tell you what's happening in your head, first of all, that is so ridiculous. How do they think they know more than you about what is happening to you? Number 3, introducing a personal view or opinion as fact. Just know and understand that when any person presents their personal opinion as a fact, they're trying to manipulate you, whether they know it or not. For example, a salesperson saying, this is the computer for you. This has your name written all over. This is yours. This is yours. That's not a fact. It's a personal opinion. Or if in your relationship, your partner says, you're always flirting with other men and it's really disrespectful to me. Or socially, someone saying to you, oh, you need to exercise more. You need to go to the gym more. Well, these are not facts. Okay, exercise is good for you. No doubt about that. That's a fact. But someone telling you you need to exercise more, they don't know that. They don't know what's good for you. So how to deal with situations is, again, to ask the question. How do you know that? How would you know? How would you know? So now they have to provide some form of evidence to substantiate their claims. So now you level the playing field or the playing ground. And then I think the fourth one, making you feel guilty or ashamed. Manipulators use this a lot. For example, if you're coming back from work, you've had a hard day at work, you're really tired, you want to sit down, relax, have a nice hot bath, or just relax, really. But your partner wants you to go out to an event that they didn't even tell you about or didn't remind you about or anything like that, out of the blue or whatever. And they want you to comply with their demands. And you're telling them, oh, I'm just tired. I really can't go out right now. They can see that you're tired and that you don't want to go out. So they're going to start to try and manipulate you. So they're going to say things like, oh, well, this person's wife is going to be there. Oh, and she works full time as well. She's coming and she's got 3 kids, and she's coming to the event as well. So they say this to make you feel guilty or ashamed, and which will motivate you to comply with their wishes, because now they're saying that, well, somebody else who does the same thing with you, and on top of that, they've got 3 kids and they've got this and that and this and that, and they're still going, and so that makes you feel, oh, well, if they can make it, then then you feel guilty that you can't. That you're saying that you can't make it because you're tired, because somebody else has got a lot more going on than you have. So just the fact that you feel ashamed should indicate that you are being manipulated. Just that fact that you are being shamed, because that's shaming. That indicates that you're being manipulated. The fact that you now know you're being manipulated should dispel feelings of guilt and should be replaced with definite resolve not to comply. And, you just need to shut that down immediately and just stand your ground and refuse to comply. You could say something like, yeah, well, that's great. I'm so glad she can attend with, yeah, I know that she's got so much going on. I mean, that's fantastic. I mean, and unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to make it this time. Maybe I'll make it some other time. And, tell her I said hi. We really need to catch up with one another soon. You see, manipulators always want to compare you with other women and put them on a pedestal and undermine you and your accomplishments to make you feel jealous and small. With that kind of answer, you reveal to your partner that you're not jealous of the other woman. In fact, you compliment her. You want to socialize with her and everything. And so, yeah, that will just put them in their place. So, I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. And please please subscribe, please follow if you enjoy this content. And I hope to see you in my next episode. Take care. Bye.